Good evening, West Michigan. I'm ALANA Holland. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned the nation's constitutional protections for abortion on Friday. That paves the way for individual states to decide on the future of abortion laws. Hours after the decision, abortion became illegal in 7 states, and that number is expected to rise as more states act on so-called trigger laws that are designed to ban the procedure if Roe were ever overturned. Michigan is one of those states with a trigger law from 1931 that would ban abortion if Roe was overturned. However, abortion remains legal in Michigan due to a preliminary injunction making its way through court. And there is another lawsuit challenging this 1931 law filed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She has filed a motion for the state Supreme Court to immediately look at the case.
And as to what their decision will be, I think we're all going to have to sort of wait and see. It's something that the justices on the Michigan Supreme Court simply have not had to deal with in any sort of substantive fashion during my career for the last 20 years.
Governor Whitmer gives an opening brief on July 8th. Defendants will respond by July 22nd with a final response by the governor, but by July 29th. West Michigan's largest healthcare system announced they will follow the 1931 trigger law. That's despite the injunction currently keeping abortion legal. Spectrum Health issued a statement saying the new policy and practices will follow the guidance of Michigan's 1931 law and only allow pregnancy termination when necessary to preserve the life of the woman. It also says the health system is looking at how to provide the best care for all while adhering to the Michigan law which bans abortions. Following the High Court's decision, protests and rallies erupted in cities all across the state, including 2 in downtown Grand Rapids. Another demonstration is planned for tonight, and that's where we find 13 on your side's Justin Bachman. So Justin, what can we expect to see tonight?
Hey, good evening, ALANA. Right now we are outside of the Kent County Courthouse, and this event is slated for 7 p.m. But one thing we know from covering these protests, at least the ones that happened yesterday, both here in Grand Rapids and over in Lansing, is they grow quickly. Now, as we take a look, there are already some people here getting ready for that 7 o'clock start. We know the 2 protests or the 2 rallies and marches that we saw yesterday in downtown Grand Rapids did end up combining. One of them that started at Rosa Parks Circle, another that started at Monument Park, and then one of those groups went marching, and around the corner, suddenly it seemed like that crowd tripled, all of them expressing their views on what these 2 groups seemingly pro-choice for the rights of women and reproductive rights of all people here in Grand Rapids and across the state of Michigan. We do see a couple of signs, we see a couple of families, we see a lot of people here gearing up for that 7 o'clock event. We do not know if they are going to march, but we do know that they are going to be making their voices heard here outside of the Kent County Courthouse. Live in Grand Rapids, I'm Justin Bachman, 13 on your side.
All right, Justin, thank you. And of course, we'll be following that tonight. And after the court's decision yesterday, both sides made their voices heard. Members of Right to Life say they are excited to see what happens next after waiting 50 years for Roe v. Wade to be overturned. They believe the judges voted on the right side of history and advocated for calm in the coming days.
We are just so thankful for the justices for having the courage and the wisdom to overturn Roe and send it back to the states. We are excited to see human rights restored in Michigan.
Right to Life Michigan is currently working with the Alliance Defending Freedom to have the injunction against the 1931 law lifted.